Hey guys, it's Poor Performance Coach Adam Carmichael here. In today's video, you're going to learn how to dance with your emotions. Now, I got the idea for this video after a coaching call with one of the players I'm working with this week. And he's a really hard-working guy, pushing really hard, does a lot of things right, but he's really struggling with dealing with his emotions, especially towards the end of a session. So he's doing a lot of things right. He's read The Mental Game of Poker by Jared Tendler. He's trying to inject logic statements. He's trying to figure out why these emotional responses are coming and how we can deal with them better. Now, as he was talking about, say, 2 or 4 hours into a session, and he feels frustrated and he gets these emotional responses where tilt starts to build, accumulates, and then it overtakes him. As he was talking about it, I could see that he was getting quite annoyed that he wasn't able to solve this problem with logic. He was trying to just go, why am I getting this emotion? Why am I getting this emotion? Go away, go away. And he was really trying to force these emotions out of his life. He was trying to build up his logic to a point where he could overrule any emotion that came would just have to go instantly. Now, as poker players, we're generally very analytical, very logic driven. So the natural response when emotion comes is to hit it with logic and hope it goes away. Now, that is a good response, and it does work often when you inject logic into an emotional response. It does often alleviate the emotional response to some degree. However, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the emotion stays there, and then all of a sudden you get more frustrated that it's still there. So this is like the tilt of tilt. You notice that you're tilting, you're like, why am I tilting for? And then you start to throw more logic at it and try to bat away this emotion. Now, as he was talking through this problem, I could see that his responses were actually magnifying the emotional response, and it was actually causing more and more frustration because he was getting so angry at himself that he couldn't deal with his tilt better. So I said the phrase, you need to learn to dance with your emotions, and it really resonated with him when I went through the concept where basically, rather than saying, okay, this emotional response, I don't want to have it, you've got to accept that this emotion is going to come as a poker player. There's going to be frustrating situations that cause an elevation of your emotions, but learn to be more curious of them. Rather than trying to bat them out of the way all the time, be curious. Where's this frustration coming from? Why do I feel angry that I got 2 outed? Why do I feel annoyed that I'm on a bit of a downswing right now? Get very curious to your emotional responses to situations and start to learn where it's coming from. Because our emotions are always there to guide us. They're there to give us a feedback mechanism that we can use in order to course correct. We get fear because there's situations that might harm us. Sometimes it's a false alarm, especially in the modern world, but it's a good response. We need that response so that we can adapt to the environment. It's the same with your emotional responses. I think, where's this frustration coming from? Where's the anger coming from? And it's generally an incorrect story that you're telling yourself, that you expect to win. You expect because you're working hard, you should beat your opponents. You expect because you're a better player, you should never lose. You expect because your opponent's not as good as you, that he should never win. And you're telling yourself all these stories subconsciously that are causing these emotions to come. So you need to, first off, learn to be very self-aware. So very self-aware of when your emotions change. So for me, when I started getting into this stuff as a poker player, I would start my sessions really calm, really focused, really ready to play. And then I'd notice when my state changed. So maybe like 2 or 3 hours in, feeling a little bit frustrated. I started to know what frustration felt like, a bit anxious. Then I just question it. Rather than trying to judge it and get rid of it, I just get curious of it. And I ask myself, why do I feel anxious right now? Why did I feel frustrated? It's like, because I'm losing. Like, yeah, this is poker. And I started to use the logic, but I wasn't trying to bat it out of the way with logic. I was just getting curious of why my brain was responding in this nature. And the more you can get curious of your brain and how it responds, the more you can understand its patterns. And then the ones you don't like, you can reframe them. You can reframe the patterns with logic. So it's almost like learning to dance with your emotions rather than learning to always push them away. And that's a much more realistic way to deal with your emotions as a poker player. So I want to get a bit more practical now. So think about how you respond to situations during your poker career or during your poker grinds. So what I would do is go into a session, always start your session highly focused, feeling ready to play, then be aware of when that changes, and then be curious of it first, write down maybe 3 hours in, start to feel frustrated, and then think about the story that accompanies that frustration. So like I touched on earlier, you might be telling yourself, I shouldn't lose. You might be telling yourself your opponents aren't good players, they shouldn't win. But it's generally like a story you're telling yourself, or you've got unrealistic expectations unrealistic expectations of the situation. So you expect them to win every hand. You expect them to win every game. You expect them to win every session. You don't expect them to win every week, even like a month. You can't control these variables. So learn to forget about like the short-term things of not being able to, the short-term things you can't control. Try to not worry too much about them and get very practical with where's this coming from? Where's this kind of trigger of emotion coming from? And what's the story I'm telling myself? Then when you're doing some analysis out of game, not when you're at the tables, start to unravel these stories with logic and go, is this story I'm telling myself true? Is it helping me? Or do I need to reframe it? So when frustrations are coming, why are you getting frustrated? Why do you care if you lose at the poker tables? Why does a downswing affect you? Is it because you're really attached to the short-term results financially? Is it because you hate losing to worse players? Is it because you're really competitive and you can't accept losing? And then try to bring your focus back to things you control. So when I'm working with players one-on-one, I really get them to cement this concept that you don't control your results. You control your decision-making, your focus, and your emotional control, but you don't control the result. The result is out of your hands. The card distribution of your opponents, runouts, out of your control. So don't attach your emotional responses to the uncontrollable variables. So this is what most players do. They'll refresh their graph, refresh their results, and they'll see they're losing, and they'll get more and more emotional, but they don't control it. So you're linking your emotions to part of the equation that's not in your control. So always when you find yourself going down this avenue and you feel yourself getting angry at results, angry at how things are going and tilt's building, always bring it back to the controllable elements. So the guys I work with, they always say, are you focusing well? Is your focus an 8 or 9 out of 10? Are you making decisions well? Are you using the information available to make crisp decisions? And are you staying in control of your emotions? If you're doing those things, don't worry about the results. They're going to come. You're doing everything you can, and over time, the results will reflect that high level of performance. So just to wrap this up, you guys need to be learning to deal with your emotions more acceptingly, learn to get curious of your emotions, and don't always try and bat them out the way with logic, because occasionally that's going to make them flare up more. You're going to angry at yourself that you can't out-logic the emotional response, which is just there to help you and guide you. So I hope you guys get some value from this. If you did, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below with how you're responding to emotional stimulus right now.